Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, John Down. Big Tex Johnson. How y'all doing today? Listen, man, I saw something on here on the internet a couple so days ago, and I said I got to do a show on that because it does make sense to do a show on it. But one of the things I want to let you guys know, just to break it down to you and eventually where I'm going. For a lot of you guys who possibly played high school football, college football, and they're going into pros or whatever, but let's just say high school football going into college. You remember it was a thing where one of the coaches, at least I know my coach is a lineman coach, but even because after practice was over, you had the sprints to run. So one of the main things was like finish up strong, finish up strong. That was always a mantra that happened about finishing up strong. You know what I'm saying? You might start off a little weak, but they finish off strong. Do the best you can, finish off strong. And that was always something that was said in my world in football. I know a lot of other cats ran across that as well. Which brings me to the topic at hand. I saw an article, and someone had actually asked me about this before. And it's like, yo, and it's a twister. Why isn't Shaun Alexander in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? I'm like, dude, that's a good one. That's a good one. But you guys know me, how I roll, how I get down. And that I'm a numbers guy. And let's first off break down the life expectancy of that of a running back, because I just recently sit up there and was listening to what's his name, Skip Bayless, and him talking stuff about Ezekiel Elliott, and I'm like, guy been in the league 4 years, he led the league in rushing 2 years. What do you want from him? 2 NFC East titles. He probably would have led the league 3 times if he hadn't gotten in any trouble. Before the 10 games, missed 6 in the 2018 season. He was averaging like 98 yards a carry. What else do you want him to do? Okay? Caught a lot of balls out of the backfield and everything like that. So, hey, it's like, that's really BS. I think that's really on some more like trying to get under my man's skin. And that's neither here nor there over here at ETFB. But I ran across this particular player who I thought was nice, and he was really good. And as a matter of fact, he has Hall of Fame numbers. But I will say he's not going to get in. And probably shouldn't really deserve to get in. Some people might take it the wrong way, but I'm like, you got to really look at it. And that's Shaun Alexander, who played for the Seattle Seahawks. Shaun Alexander, who came from out of Alabama, historic run that he had, and Shaun Alexander was nice, very nice. Shaun Alexander played 9 years. Shaun Alexander, in a 9-year frame, would rush for 9,453 yards and 100 touchdowns. That's major 3-digit touchdowns. That's major. But this is where the problem lies at. Remember what I told you earlier in the broadcast. Okay? Remember that. And what I'm going to say. This is not going to be too long. So Shaun comes into the league, I want to say 2000, 2001. 2000, right? I think he comes in about a year or so before that, or some guys like LaDainian Tomlinson, right? Shaun Alexander numbers are extremely respectable. But the problem what comes in with Shaun Alexander, I tell you guys this all the time. Shaun Alexander from 2001 to 2005, he was just as good as they came. 2001, 13-18 rushing, 14 touchdowns. He caught 44 balls for 343 yards. For those people that need that. 2002, 1175, 16 touchdowns. Mind you, he had 16 touchdowns, no Pro Bowl, no All-Pro nod. Those first 2 years. Which put him basically 0-1 over 30 touchdowns. He would accumulate in his second and third year. I don't really count his first year because he didn't really play. He didn't really play. He had 64 carries for like 313 yards. So I don't really play and 2 TDs. Go to 2003. This is when Shaun Alexander started making a serious name for himself. 1434, 14 touchdowns. Right? 42, if you want to count the yards, 42 pass receptions, receiving, and 295 yards, 2 touchdowns. 2004 at age 27. 1696. Right? Averaging 106 yards rushing. 16 touchdowns. Right? Now, he's just a bell cow. He's barely catching any balls. That's my kind of guy. Because you have receivers in the league, their job is to catch the ball and to turn something into something. Not so much for a running back, but another story. The mystical, magical 2005 year, 13-3. 1,180 yards. Led the league in rushing. Led the league in carries. Led the league in touchdowns. Led the league in average. You're talking about somebody that had a 5.1 average. 117.5 per game. 27 touchdowns. They go to the Super Bowl. They will lose to the Steelers. But I also want to read you this here. That year, 3 games. Right? Divisional, championship, Super Bowl. 60 rushes, 236 yards, 2 touchdowns. Right? 2 touchdowns. 3.9 average. Far as receiving, 3 receptions. Why do I say that? Let's go back. All right, let's go back. So, Shaun Alexander, in that 3-year run, like I said, 3, 4, and 5. After the 2005 season, 896 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns. The next year after that, 716 yards, 4 touchdowns. He gets traded to the Skins. If that is correct to say nowadays, because they're not the Skins no more. They're removing that name. I'm just messing with y'all. At 31, 11 carries, 24 yards. What did I tell you guys at the beginning of the broadcast? What did they tell you during sprints? Finish up strong. Shaun Alexander would not finish up strong. His last 3 years was pretty much putrid. Shaun Alexander had nice years from 2003, 4, and 5. The other one was good, but 1,000-yard thing, you should rush for 1,000 yards, and you're playing 16 games. So this is where we're talking about where running backs go off the cliff a lot of times at age 29. Go and look at LaDainian Tomlinson's stats. Okay? Go look at that. And I'm telling you, this is why Shaun, now, from a stat standpoint of view, Shaun Alexander should be in the Hall of Fame. He has 100 touchdowns. He basically averaged 94 yards a game in his career. And some nice part of touchdowns. But he's not going to get in there based on he did not finish up strong in those last 3 years, and then that putrid season with the Skins where he did absolutely nothing. So after his MVP year, Shaun Alexander was done. And that's why Shaun Alexander is not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame and probably won't get in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because that leaves a sour taste in those voters' mouths like, okay, he established himself as the top back in the league, and what did he do for the next 2 or 3 years? Nothing. Nice back. Did a lot of great things. But it just did not pan out for Shaun Alexander. We'll come back with y'all guys a few more minutes later.